you're the co-founder of Raaka Chocolate, correct?
That's correct.
All right, and you're right around the corner here in Red Hook. We also got a tour of your facility yesterday, which was so much fun. So tell us a little bit about this. This is a really unique chocolate bar because of the process. What is it that makes it so stand out?
Yeah, so we call our chocolate virgin chocolate. We're the only unroasted bean-to-bar chocolate maker in the United States, really. So all chocolate's made from scratch, starts from cocoa beans. And like many of the best chocolate makers, or I guess all of the best chocolate makers, we go to origin and find great cocoa beans. The thing that we do differently is we don't roast our cocoa beans. So our flavors lean more towards sort of citrusy, fruity, vibrant, bold, more like wine flavors, and less towards the sort of more neutral, roasty, nutty, kind of like the calmer flavors that come with deeper roasts. So yeah, we really pack a different flavor than a lot of chocolate bars, and we're also part of the craft chocolate movement, which is like a bunch of young companies sprouting up who make their own chocolate from scratch, from cocoa beans.
That was one of the things that stood out on the tour was like you have all this equipment and none of it's made for making chocolate. But talking about that community really quickly, there is a lot of craft chocolate. It's being proliferated. It's a competitive space. What are you guys doing? I notice you have some interesting different flavors here that helps you stand out and make a name for yourself beyond the unroasted, because there's a big education component to that. So like, what else can you do that's a little bit more simple to differentiate?
Yeah, we found that most of the craft chocolate movement is focused on single origin chocolates. They do a lot of like 70% darks with 2 ingredients, just cocoa beans and sugar from like very special select farms.
Right.
What we found is we found a niche in inclusions, so working with other ingredients and process innovation. So for example, we have a bourbon cask-aged bar. I have one right here. And yeah, this guy's aged for a month in a bourbon barrel, so you get the aromas of the bourbon cask being transferred to the chocolate. We'll do things like infusions with tea, where we'll melt cocoa butter and add tea to the cocoa butter and then press out the solids. So we're really, since we're small, we can be more versatile with our product development and take a lot of innovative approaches, and because our machinery isn't so huge that tweaks to process our preventative.
Right.
So for us, a lot of it's process innovation and specifically pairing beans that we love with interesting ingredients. So like we're all vegan and we wanted to do a milk chocolate, so we used a coconut milk, which I see you have one of those bars. So or no, I do.
I have the ghost pepper.
Coconut milk.
Ghost pepper.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, how scalable is that approach? You know, sort of the blending and adding of the unique ingredients. I mean, how far can you take that?
I mean, a lot of bigger chocolate companies have gone pretty far with it, so we're confident that we can scale it. Right now we're looking at we're increasing our production machinery, but we're also keeping some of our smaller machines to maintain flexibility. Like we do a subscription plan where every month we make 2 totally unique chocolate bars, and we don't just top them with something different on the top. It's like we innovate from the ground up. So we'll start with a different cocoa bean, or we'll make changes very early in the production process so that the chocolate itself is a different base, and we'll work with process innovation along the way from the very beginning. With smaller machinery setups, it's easier to do that, to actually innovate from the beginning instead of just like kind of making a base chocolate with massive machinery and then adding a different ingredient at the very late stage. So that's something we're really excited about, is we still have a lot of versatility, but we're also upgrading our machine sizes so that we can do bigger batches of things that are a little more consistent.
Right.
We got a couple minutes left, and I want to throw you a bit of a curveball. So you started making this chocolate in your apartment. Now you're in your second facility, you're adding a whole bunch of new equipment. You know, you're embodying this, like, you know, you started with nothing and now you're managing a team. It's like a completely different ball game. What's something that like you've learned along the way that you really wish you would have known starting out? Something that, you know, there was maybe some kind of challenges that you faced. We have a lot of entrepreneurs and food brand owners watching, so something that you can impart.
I mean, for me personally, I learned pretty quickly that I had an inspirational vision. Like, I cared a lot about social impact and still care a lot about social impact. And I was excited about starting a company. I was horrible as a manager. It took me last year basically, to realize that I needed to learn how to be a manager. I was really used to working directly on packaging, to working directly on the website, to working directly on our wholesale sheets, on our hiring, but I really didn't know how to set goals for people and how to support people. So I was doing a lot of corrective management where I was coming in and being like, hey, how come the thing that you were supposed to finish isn't finished or isn't good enough? Or like basically just swooping in whenever things were wrong. And people hated that. And so it took like a disgruntled, unhappy team for me to be like, start to talk with friends who had more experience and be like, what am I doing wrong here? Like, this is not right. And they're like, dude, you have to meet with everyone you're managing directly, like once a week at least, and do a one-on-one. It's just supportive, which is like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, define your goals clearly, inspect what you expect. So just basically like stay in touch with people about whether or not they feel like they're making progress on their goals. So I really messed up on that. Yeah.
That's really good advice. You know, when you are constantly coming to people over problems, then they can associate you with like a negative sense. And then if you talk to them more broadly, then you don't get that kind of sense. So
I don't know how anyone could associate Ryan with being negative. I mean, the guy started a chocolate company.
delicious chocolate, by the way. So if you haven't yet, you do yourself a favor, grab a bar. Ryan, absolute pleasure having you here. I hope you're having a good time at the conference. And